Hi guys, we're going to talk about Chapter 9, Time Management. Time management is making optimal use of the available time you have. It's important in management and leadership and also for the bedside nurse. Because time is so finite, the valuable resource it's a valuable resource, and learning to use it wisely requires both leadership skills and management functions. There is a close relationship between time management and stress. Good time management skills allow an individual to spend time on things that matter. There are three cyclic steps. They allow for time for planning and establishing priorities, complete the highest priority task whenever possible, and try to finish one task before beginning another. So this is like important to have, like, to talk about your planning when you're doing time management, making lists, making sure you know your priorities, what needs to happen, making sure that, like, having a top down, like, this is the stuff I have to get done today, and actually completing it before you move on to another thing so you can check that off your list. And always remember that you can reprioritize based on remaining tasks and new information that may have been received. You may start your day or your week with a list of prioritized things that need to be worked on, and then an emergency happens and something comes in, and now that's at the top of your list. That's okay. That's kind of life. And remember that two mistakes common in planning are underestimating the importance of a daily plan and not allowing adequate time for planning. The smart approach to studying, that's to use set specific clear goals to be accomplished, record your progress as measurable progress maintains your interest. When knowing, like, when you're, as you're going through, knowing that you're improving, that keeps you interested in wanting to continuing further on with what you're doing. Identify the steps needed to accomplish your goals. Be realistic about your time constraints and set goals that are accomplished within these constraints, and set a time frame, and plan for this. Creating a time efficient work environment. Gather all supplies needed before starting an activity. Group activities that are in the same location. Use time estimates. Document nursing intervention as soon as possible after they are completed, and always strive to end the workday on time. So these are things that are important in leadership and management, but this is stuff that you guys should use in your everyday direct care activities. So, I have a patient that I need to see. I look at my list of patients. They have about four patients that I'm seeing throughout the day. I have one that has medications that are due right now, that has wound that needs to be dressed, and maybe they need a bath and need to be and are full assist. So I need me and my patient care assistant to go in together. So then I'm going to talk to my patient care assistant, make sure they have the time allotted, that we're going to gather our supplies, get everything that we need to complete our bath and change the bed, to get the wound changed, and all the medications I need. And I'm going to go in, get that completed, make sure I have enough time, that my other patients are okay, and I have somebody watching them. And then after I do all of that, I'm going to go document my assessment on that patient. I would have documented the medications as I administered them, and I can document the wound care that was completed. And if you prioritize and do that, then you'll be able to get out of work on time. So daily planning actions to utilize time. Identify key priorities to be accomplished that day. Determine the expected level of achievement of a prioritized task. Assess the staff assigned to work with you. Review the short and long-term plans of the unit. Plan ahead for meetings. Allow time to assess progress for goal attainment. And take regular breaks and use electronic calendars. Procrastination. This is my downfall. I can admit it. It's putting off something until a future time, postponing or delaying needlessly. It's not a character flaw, but a set of behaviors that develop over a period of time and that can be changed. The dread of doing a task uses more time and energy than doing the task itself. So the reality is, you don't want to procrastinate, that you really should make a plan in the beginning and have things set up that'll make your life a lot easier. three categories of prioritization. One, don't do it, do later, and do now. Do now, setting priorities. Priority setting is perhaps the most critical skill in good time management because all actions we take have some type of relative importance. It's really important to make lists. That's something that I've learned throughout my nursing career. When I started out in the acute care setting, I would prioritize and make lists of the big things I needed to do with my patients. So, I would make a list of, like, if I did have that, like, huge dressing change, or I had a patient that was going to need to be prepped for surgery or bowel prep or something like that, that I could just make a simple, like, list of things I knew I had to get done for the day. When I moved into the intensive care unit, when I first started, it was kind of making a list because there was so much that needed to be done throughout your day. It was kind of every hour you only had 2 patients, and there was every hour something major you were doing for each patient, whether it was lab, oral care, turning the patient, or medications needing to be given, your assessments that are every sometimes 15 minutes, depending on what kind of assessment you're doing. Making lists to know what to do. We are lucky that we have a lot of electronic lists now in our computer electronic medical records. We have, like, caring lists they use at Lakeland Regional. They're called tasks lists at other organizations that use Cerner. And then other medical records have some kind of priority list that help nurses know the things that are due throughout the day. And then once you move into, like, your management and leadership positions, you can start making lists there for your week or your day to prioritize the things you need to get done. So remember that lists are planning tools and thus must be flexible. Re-examine items that remain on the list day after day. Perhaps they do not need to be done, or they need to be broken down into smaller tasks. Only put as many items on the daily list as can reasonably be accomplished in a day. What is a pitfall of making lists? Being too flexible, looking at one's list too often, including an unreasonable number of items on one's list. Including an unreasonable number of items. Remember, it is advisable to only put as many items on your daily list as can be reasonably accomplished in a day. Managing time. Managing time is difficult if a person is unsure of his or her priorities for time management, including personal, short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. Personal organization, knowing and understanding how and why you use time or set priorities as you do. How do you waste time? What types of work do you avoid? What is the best time of day for you to work? How long can you work before becoming non-productive? These are all questions you should ask yourself to help learn and help you prioritize your time and learn how you yourself use your time. Internal time wasters. Accessibility to others, so being able to get up and just go chat with somebody, that's a time waster. Technology, internet, gaming, email, and social media sites, like slipping on your cell phone while you're at work. Socializing, interruptions, but try to keep them brief. Paperwork overload, a poor filing system. Personal time management is difficult if a person is unsure of his or her priorities for time management, including personal, short-term, intermediate, and long-term goals. Personal characteristics of time management wasting does not understand. You don't understand time and planning. You cannot distinguish what is important from what is not. You underestimate time and effort needed to accomplish tasks. You make too many rules or procedures or approvals. You have anxiety about planning that robs your energy. You do not look at the standard of work necessary. Discouraging socialization. Do not make yourself overly accessible. Interrupt a rambling person. Avoid promoting socialization. Schedule long-winded pests. So this is one of those things that kind of can get difficult. There are times where we as people do want to socialize with others, but especially when you move into management and leadership positions, there are times where you have things that you need to get done, and it may be important to shut your door so that you don't have those people that just want to come in and sit and talk. and maybe know that, but you want to be available to your staff as well. So it's kind of a thing where you have to learn that maybe I can have time with like my door open policy from this time, but I have a certain set time where my door is shut that I can complete these tasks. Manageable tasks. Some projects are not accomplished because they are not broken down into manageable tasks. It's important to break things down. Braun's 12 habits to master time management include strive to be authentic, favor trusting relationships, maintain lifestyle that gives you maximum energy, organize day by day biorhythms, set a very few priorities and stick to them, turn down things inconsistent with your priorities, and set aside time for focused effort. Always look for ways of doing things better and faster, build solid processes, spot trouble ahead and solve problems immediately, break goals into small units of work and think only about one unit at a time. Finish what is important and stop doing what is no longer worthwhile. So tell whether the following statement is true or false. According to Braun, one should master personal time by setting many priorities and sticking to them. True or false? That's false. According to Braun, you should set only a few priorities and stick to them. The time inventory. Help the individual determine how much time he or she spends on a particular task and what time of day he or she is most productive. It is important to maintain the time inventory for several days or even weeks and to repeat it annually to see if long-term changes have been made. Okay, that's it for Chapter 9. Thanks, guys.